Sounds. I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to make the following statement. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members. To my left is Ron Merritt. My far left is Sandy Tapper. I'm Marcel Laurent, I'll be chairing this morning. The assessor today is Mark
Triglio.
You got it, I'm glad you could say it. And our administrative assistant today is Belen Robo. We will be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to applications of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in your Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed by each applicant. Following the swearing in, we will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicants may have, and the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive an order by registered mail as soon as possible, and as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And if I could ask everybody to please put their phones on silent. Makes it a little quieter. And we'll have everyone sworn in. Luciano, you can come up to the front table here. We're going to get you sworn in. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Please state your full name.
Mark Triglio.
And you affirm the evidence you present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. You can swear in on the Bible or to affirm without it. Please state your full name. And you swear the evidence that I present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any evidence you'd like to present to the panel?
Basically, the rental agreement. I'm not too sure if the rental agreement, do you have a rental agreement?
We don't have.
Whatever you'd like to present.
Okay. The rental agreement and the check starts that of the lease.
Do you have 5 copies, or is it?
You know what? I only brought one copy because I wasn't too sure
Okay.
how.
Pass it to the assessor first, please. Do you have a copy for yourself?
Yes, I believe so.
Unless you want to go copy it before we start, though.
It's up to you.
We'll let you go over it, take your notes, and then we'll have a look at it after, when he presents it. Mark, if you want to go, we'll start with this property at 423 McMillan Avenue.
Sure. The business assessment ID is 51762. It's 423 McMillan Avenue. It's a Sonic's Bar and Grill. The annual rental value under appeal today is $90,540. We come to this value by looking at the total premise area, 7,540 square feet, and applying a base rental rate or base ARV per square foot of $9.66. Occupancy costs are applied to the total premise area, and they total $17,719. The total again is $90,540. Subject property by our records is built in 1954 with additions in 1995 and 2000. The rent comparables that I've brought here today, I've got 4. There's a range between $14 and $22.86. I've tried to select properties that are within the same region of the city, namely Osborne Village. It's hard to find properties that are as large as the subject within Osborne Village, but there is a few, and I have included them here today. Comparable number 1 is a good example of a larger property that has a higher rent than is reported by the subject. It's also higher than the model rent that's being used at $14. Another larger property within the Osborne Village area is 112 Osborne Street. They've got a reported area of 8,014 square feet. Again, it's a larger unit, and they've also got a higher rent. For this property, we are just seeking confirmation on the value using the $9.66 as the rent. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions of the assessor on the information that he's provided, Mr. Vaca?
Yes, the the properties that are in the area over here, especially where we're located, it's on a major thoroughfare, and there's no parking, no street parking on the road. And also.
But do you have any questions on the information that he presented today, or you just want to make your presentation after?
Oh.
Did you see his comparables that he gave?
Yes.
Okay, and you got no questions, so we're just going to see if there's any questions from the panel members. Any questions, sir?
Yes. Mr. Collier, do you get a chance to visit the property at all?
In this case, I did not. I have been to previous iterations of this restaurant, but in its current form, I have not.
So no comparables in regards to on the subject street at all?
No, I was not able to find. As you know, when you're coming southbound on Donald, it does turn into McMillan up until Osborne Street. Then you're at Confusion Corner, and then you go into residential on McMillan. So it's a very short section of McMillan where you may get some retail. And in this case, theirs is just east of Osborne Street on McMillan. And there is a back lane that they sit right by, which does provide some access to some parking areas in the back. And there's additional parking surface lots in behind there.
I thank you, sir.
Yep.
Sandy?
I'm just wondering about the discrepancy in area.
Yeah, so the last time that they had reported a lease, in 2013, they had shown 7,000 square feet.
Right.
Since then, all of the rental information that we get back is just based on a monthly rent. They don't show the leasable area. City records show 7,540 square feet, so that's what we've used for the building.
Okay, well, maybe it'll be clearer after
Yeah, absolutely.
the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, I've got no questions. On to your presentation, Mr. Vaca.
We took possession in 2015, and based on on our rent, we paid $4,500, which is $4,500 a month, which is $54,000 per year. Then what I did is I did the calculation with the heat, electrical, and water, and the total from 2017, and the total amounts to $70,877. I'm not too sure, the cost that I used is including all the taxes, except for the rental. So there is a large discrepancy between, the area where the building is located, the thoroughfare, especially, I guess it's Donald and McMillan. It's a high traffic area. There is no parking. There's no parking on the actual street in front of us, except for late evening, and by looking at the rental of other properties, it's not really comparable, because the other properties, they have street parking, and plus on the Osborne over here is it's prime area that is the rental is high, but I believe that we should fairly be based on what our rental is, and our contract is for a 5-year period, and I understand we have to, taxes have to be paid, but there is a $20,000 discrepancy, and as a small business, any money that we save, it's we can pay an extra employee. So basically, that's one of the reasons that we're here. Last year, we agreed, and the assessment came to $84,000. But like, you know, in 2 years, like, it's a high jump for us. And if we look at the whatever the rate is, I'm not too sure what the rate is for the business tax. It's I think it's 4 or 6%, something like that. So it's a burden for a small business to actually enter into it, which is better. That money could be better used for like employees.
That's your presentation? We're gonna see if there's some questions for you.
Well, this is the first time for me.
Well, take your time.
See, most the area is like, you know, residential, but there's no really comparable, and the building is old. There's new buildings going on Osborne, especially now that like a new building is opening up, and I'm sure at the corner Confucius Corner, and I'm sure the rent is probably going to be higher than. And if you do the actually average, it's unfair for like for businesses or tenants that are in the older section to pay a higher business rate. The question that I have is like how did you get, like, you know, this average rate, like market value of $9.66 a square foot? Like, I'm not.
It's based on a modeled rent, so the city of Winnipeg uses a mass appraisal system, in that they would analyze lease information from throughout the city as reported by the owners of those buildings. In this case, based on the location, based on the size of the property, the rate that's being applied is $9.66, which I feel, based on some of the other leases within that neighborhood, is fairly reasonable considering the location of the property.
Yep. But you have to take a look at the actual property. Like, doing an average is fine, but the actual property, you have to look at the actual property. Are you looking at the actual property and where it's located, or you doing it a general review of the area, which could be 4 or 5 miles away, and there's a different amenities involved, and that's why the rental is higher.
The specifics of the location are factored into the model, but we do have to look at properties in the neighborhood. As per the legislation, the basis of the annual rental value is looking at comparable premises within the neighborhood to kind of get an indication of where that rent would be. In this case, there is support for higher rents, but we're below the range, and I think it's reasonable just due to the applicant's comments on the location. I don't feel that the $9.66 is being unreasonable in this
We'll
case.
let you finish that off in your closing.
Let's see, the question is like, as new properties come, are being built, and especially in the next year or so on, the Osborne Village is gonna be teared down, and there's gonna be a complex going up there. And so when there's a new complex, the rental value goes up. So if you do the actually average, and to somebody that's like us, we're paying a rental value of $7, and then the rental value goes to $30, and you do the average, then all of a sudden, like, our portion in the tax is also, like, you're gonna assess it at a higher value, and how is that gonna work?
I wouldn't say it's as simple as saying that the rate applied is an average. There's a lot more that goes into it than just averaging out the rents based on similar space. And we can anticipate what the rents will be for future development within the neighborhood. So until that happens, it's hard for us to kind of factor that into our appraisals or our assessment.
I guess that's all that I have.
We're gonna see if we have some questions for you. Do you have some questions for?
Just regarding one of the checks that you had scanned, I noticed that you had commented that the monthly rent you said was at $4,500.
Yeah, that includes the GST.
So the check would include the GST,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So Yeah, I just had noted that the March 2018 rent that was provided was at $4,725, so just was curious about the.
Yeah, it's included the GST, but our actual rent is it's 4,500, which works out to 54,000. If you look at the lease agreement, like I only provided 8 pages because that's what the most important 8 pages, where it gives you the actual signed value. It's on item 4.1,
Yeah.
which it says the lease is up to September 30, 2020, and the total value, yearly value is $54,000.
Perfect.
So the landlord is collecting the GST on the.
Yeah. Just one more question in regards to the parking. My notes indicate parking to the side and back of the building exclusively for your guys' use, is that correct?
You know what, yeah, they do, but there's people from, during the day that we're not open. There's, I guess, people from the Osborne side, they park on the property, so they use it as a kind of, as a parking, but on the side, there were, like, there's parking mainly for staff.
And other people are parking in there and?
Well,
are you
some
guys
people are using that without authorization, I guess.
Okay.
You would call it.
Okay.
I think there's only about 4, maybe a total of 8 parking spots. 4 on the side and 4 in the back.
Perfect. And you had made comment to the opening later on in the day, is that correct? You guys only operate between what hours?
Yeah.
What's the hours though?
The hours, like mainly in the evening. During the day, it's not. It's like sometimes open at 12 o'clock, especially in the winter time. Mostly, like we're busy in the month of December till March. The hours are more extended.
That's all my questions, thank you.
Sandy, any questions?
I'm still wondering about the area. Do you know how many square feet you have?
I'm just going to whatever the building, whatever the city marked down. I believe like what was stated was that I think the building was built, was extended twice in the lifetime of the building. So we're not sure.
Okay, thank you.
But
Mr. Merritt?
Yeah, Mr. Vaca, you leased the premises in 2015, is that
That's
correct?
correct.
And what did the lease call for? Was it $4,500 a month?
yes,
Okay, and how long was the lease for?
the lease is up till
Was it 5 years?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, and it's October 31st, 2015 till September 30, 2020. 54,000 annually.
Okay, what did the lease call for? Do you pay utilities there?
Yes, we're responsible for the utilities and any operational
Maintenance.
operators maintenance.
Okay. And as my colleague had said about, you take the entire building, eh?
Yes, it's like,
Yeah. So you're not, they have you listed here at the subject property is 4540 square feet, yet,
75.
yeah, 7540?
well,
Okay.
I would assume, like, I never measure, so whatever the building is.
We don't have a picture of the property or anything like that, but is it a one-story, is it two-story?
No, it's a one-story,
One-story?
yeah.
Okay.
No basement or anything, it's just.
No basement?
No.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Did you have a chance to go over the lease?
I did, just briefly. I may take a copy.
Yeah, the
if
part that
possible.
gets me on it is, under the operating side, the tenant shall operate and shall be responsible not only for repairs, inspection, and overhauling, but replacement of the heating system and ventilating and air conditioning, which is not normal in the contract, is it? Not that I've seen.
I haven't seen anywhere it includes that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that they've included in here is a 3-month termination contract. they can shut them down after 3 months for demolition, which is not normally in a contract either, is it?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So would that possibly look at the reason why he's only got a rent of 4,500?
It may play into it a bit, but like I said, we have to look at the annual rental value as compared to other similar premises or properties,
Do you
right?
think these other premises have the same two things in their lease, where the termination and the other one?
I haven't seen their lease, so it's hard for me to comment.
Oh, you saw this lease.
I did, yeah. Briefly, yeah.
We'll see that you get a copy of it.
Perfect, thank you so much.
That's your copy for now. If you'll make sure that they all get their copies after. Thank you very much for your
You
presentation.
can have, like, you can have my other copy here, if you want.
That's okay, she'll make them up.
Okay.
Anything in summation?
That was everything.
Anything in summation?
Well, this is the first time we were here. Last year when we were over here, the owner, I don't have knowledge of the process over here, but the owner, like, we settled for the, whatever the, he was comfortable with the amount, the assessed value of last year. But then, like, you know, when he saw the, this year assessment, he was kind of a little bit peed off, because, like, you know, from 84 going up, and in a small business, like, money is very tight, and especially when you're trying to make ends meet, it's very important. It's very important. The most important thing is to pay the employees first before anything else. Sorry to say that. I know it's important to pay taxes, but there's also responsibility to people.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And you'll be hearing from us within a couple of weeks probably.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much for your time.
They just arrived here now? Okay, where are they? They're here? That'd be a good idea.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just gonna take a minute. The next person is just out.
Sounds like Jay.
Have a seat, we're gonna have you sworn in. Bring it back up again. Oh, yeah, we're up?
Yeah.
Call the meeting back to order. We'll now be dealing with business at 1349 Pembina Highway. If you can get them sworn in, please.
Please stand. You have the option to swear in on the Bible or to affirm without it.
Bible.
Okay. Please state your full name.
Solomon Shesha.
And you swear the evidence you represent is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any copies that you want to share with the panel?
I didn't make a copy. I need to make a copy. So that I want the event, how much I paid it.
It's okay if it's just a little information. If you could just state your name for me, please.
When you're ready, Mark.
The business assessment ID is 29732. The address is 1349 Pembina Highway. It's a Chicken Delight. It's on the corner of Pembina and Waller, I believe.
Yeah.
Subject property is 1,716 square feet. The annual rental value under appeal is $32,240. It's established by applying a base annual rental value or a base rent per square foot of $17.01. Occupancy costs are applied to the full premise area. The total, again, $33,240, which just falls under the small business tax credit. The threshold is $33,300. So in this case, they are under the small business tax credit. They report a net lease starting in January of 2010. It's a 10-year lease, 10 years, 5 months, at a rental rate of $12.24 a square foot. The rent comparables that I show are all either local chain or national chain restaurants, similar in size, that show a range in the rents between $17.75 all the way up to $26. I don't think
No.
Do you understand what he said, that you're still under the threshold, that there's no business tax at that amount?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah, that's why just I don't have that much to say.
Okay.
Already right off. I received a letter 1 week ago, so I
Okay,
don't have any question.
okay, we're gonna see, do you have any questions, Sandy? Do you have any questions?
I have none.
And I've got none. On with your presentation.
Yeah, you mean, after I received this one, I changed all my mind.
You changed your mind after you got the other
Yeah,
one?
but I received the letter to be here.
You paid the $50, you might as well come visit, right?
Yeah, but other than that, I solved my problem, so there's
Okay.
not necessary to say anything.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming out.
You are
Hope
welcome.
you have a great day.
You too.
Next one up will be Lilac 243. Mr. Neufeld, I believe that's yours.
Thank you.
We always
Thank
do.
you.
Or we try.
Oh, okay.
Just
How are you?
I'm well, are you?
Very good, thank you.
Swear Mr. Neufeld in, please.
Can you affirm that you represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
Do you have any evidence?
Thank you. Mark, when you are ready.
The business assessment ID is 21663. It's 243 Lilac Street. The business name is Cafe Carlo. The annual rental value under appeal is $36,060. We arrive at that by taking a base annual rental value of $15.68 and applying it to the 2,000 square feet of space at the subject property. Occupancy costs are applied in full to the 2,000 square feet for a total of $4,700. The total annual rental value again is $36,060. The subject lease is a net lease that's from February of 2012 for a 5-year lease term. They report an area of 2,000 square feet and a rental rate of $16.50 a square foot, which is higher than the model rent that we have used today. The model rent is actually from a recommendation that was accepted by the appellant on the realty. So I'm not really sure why we're seeking further reduction in the rent. It may be because it's close to the small business tax threshold. However, I don't feel that's the intent of that credit. So in my case, I don't see a need to reduce the value further for the sole purpose of bringing the ARV under that threshold. We are looking for confirmation on the value today. Thank you.
Mr. Neufeld, you have some questions?
I do, thank you. The 1650 report, are you aware that it's internal rent between two related companies?
Okay.
No, are you?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. And your comparables that you brought forward, those are all on major commercial thoroughfares, are they not?
I suppose you could call them that. Waverly maybe not so much, but,
Well, a major commercial artery, I would argue, but maybe not necessarily for the same market. However, Lilac, would you argue that that was also on a major commercial route?
no.
Okay, those are my questions, thank you.
Sandy, any questions?
No, not right now, thank
I
you.
have none, Mr. Chairman.
How old is this building?
Built in 1928 is what city records show.
So it's not the new one. I thought it was that new one. I'm going, I was mixing up the buildings. On with your presentation, Mr. Neufeld.
Thank you. The subject is Cafe Carlo, 243 Lilac. It's a small cafe just off of Corridon, not on, obviously on Corridon. It is close to the area that is somewhat desirable in the city for restaurants. However, it is a little bit off the beaten track. If you go to my page 5, you will note overhead picture. They have an easement access through the adjoining site in order to reach their garbage, and the owner can park his vehicle behind his garbage, and that is the only parking that the site has at all. Consequently, it's also a very narrow building, so the street parking would have much competition with the neighboring businesses. My page 4 is the general accessory parking requirements stating that with a restaurant or drinking establishment, you would require 1 parking spot for 100 square feet. Of course, a lot of places on Corridon do not follow under this. That is common, we know that. However, it is technically a legal non-conforming use as far as parking goes. When we brought it into realty, there was a recommendation to reduce it by about $50,000. We took the recommendation as we felt it was beneficial for the client. It was about a $1,200 savings for them that was immense for a small business like this. I do believe it was a change in cap, and I'm aware that generally we do follow the business. The business does follow realty, but I feel that this business in particular is the definition of a small business, and quite frankly, in my opinion, this is what this credit was created for, is small businesses such as this. For that reason, I am requesting that it be at $14, and I will go through a couple comparables in a minute. And you will note that in 2016, it was at $32,160, which is just under the small business threshold for 2016. So they have not paid a business tax since I suppose 2015. My comparable that I found that does make a lot of sense to compare to this site would be actually Saffron's restaurant. And it's on my page 6, about halfway down, it's 681 Corridon, and you'll see it's 3,200 square feet year to year. It is $16, however, that is a site that is on Corridon with parking. And for Corridon, I would venture to guess that is likely the most parking for any of the businesses on Corridon in that stretch that is the desirable restaurant area. So for $16 for Saffron's, I thought it made a lot of sense to compare it to Lilac, which is down the street, not on Corridon, not on a major, not in the major business area for restaurants in there, and of course our subject has 0 parking. That's the reason that I felt that the $16 could be adjusted to 14. Something of this size, generally with economies of scale, you can argue that a smaller site would have a smaller rent, but I would argue that this building is so small that the utility is actually very low for a restaurant. This is it's a cafe for a reason. It's not. It of course it's a restaurant in there to serve food, but you have an occupancy max of very few people, and it is not exactly the most desirable place to open a restaurant for the physical characteristics being. So for that reason, I am requesting an assessment of $32,640, which is just under the small business threshold. Thank you.
Mark, do you have any questions?
I do. So you had said that there's some relation between the ownership of the building and the tenant here?
There is, it's an owner occupied for all intents and
Okay,
purposes.
so it's not reported as owner occupied?
Yeah, it would likely because it would be a different holding company that would report it, and that is what is legally required. You sent it to the holding company that owns the real estate. You can look at him all you want. But you sent it to the holdings company that holds the real estate, not to the business itself.
Yeah, I'm just referring to the...
They have a rent that they pay to themselves, and that's what they reported.
Okay, you mentioned Saffron's, I believe that's 681 Corridor,
Correct.
is that correct? Is there any relation between the
No.
owner and the tenant in that
Absolutely
location?
not.
No, so that's a
It's a
rental rate
full arm's length lease.
$16?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that a lot of the foot traffic from Corden would also go down Lilac and some of those
A lot
smaller
maybe,
side
not
streets?
all of it. I would think that if you're parking on to go on Corden, there's the major businesses that you go to, Bar I, to Saffron's mainly. When you can't, Lilac is a bit off the beaten track. You can't really see this from Corden, and most people like to do the stroll down Corden and walk down there.
I just direct you guys to page 5 of the appellant's or applicant's brief. It's right off the corner of Corden and Lilac. It's in fact 4 buildings in. So I don't see it as being as much off the beaten path, but that's all for my questions. Thank you.
Ron, question?
I have none.
Sandy?
I have no questions, thank you.
This did, well, no, it didn't follow the new realty number. It would have been higher, didn't it?
Sorry, what?
It would have been higher if it followed the,
Yes, yeah.
if they had followed the,
If it, I believe the realty was applied at
365.
1568, yeah.
hmm?
The realty rate that was applied was 1568. I believe it was a cap change in the realty.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Look a little. You know what, the assessor said it was, I just
Oh,
trusted him.
you had dropped, the city had dropped the cap rate on it? They hadn't adjusted the rent when they did it?
I believe the rent used was $15.68, and that was, there was a change to the cap rate, I believe. I don't have the specifics with me.
So to drop it to 365 was the cap rate you changed, not the rent? Because it was at 406 before,
Okay?
and you brought it down to 365?
Yes, that I believe was the
Okay.
recommendation.
If we back up that 365, what does the rent come in at?
I'd have to do some numbers.
Because I'm getting a lower number. That's, because you guys usually like to back out the rent, not the cap rate, that's why.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have the specifics with me, so it's hard to do the calculations.
No, we can do it. Okay, leave it with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
That was this one, right?
Mr. Borkstone.
Yep, Brad, come on up.
I was gonna say Mr. Borkstone was my father.
Does he,
Bradford Scott Borkstone.
does he admit it?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Mark will be dealing with 144 St. Anne's Road when you are ready, sir.
I might have just 2 seconds.
Sure, why don't you take 2 seconds? We're making such good time this morning. I always like Mark's professionalism.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I can take all your briefs.
You swear me anything?
She did. I'm advised.
No.
by the-
I went to
that you guys need to approve now.
Yeah, no problem.
The assessors.
I know it's 2,000 square feet. Yeah. 2,000. You ready now, Brad?
I am, thank you.
All right. Welcome lock and load. Mark?
The business assessment ID is 5917. The address is 144 St. Anne's Road. It's a McDonald's. The annual rental value under appeal today is $97,440. I do have a recommendation. The initial rental rate that was used was $42.15. That was a model rent. It did seem high, a little high relative to the other McDonald's, so we did do some tweaking in regards to some of the characteristics. The model rent as revised is $30.17 for a revised annual rental value of $71,160. So that is the recommendation.
Brad, you good with that, Rick?
No.
Oh, okay. You
For-
wanna
well,
finish up your presentation?
Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
For
For reasons that will become very clear in a moment.
the comparables that I've provided here, there's 4 of them. It's all major competitors, fast food restaurants with drive-throughs. The rental range that we show is $30.67 all the way up to $36.80. There are other ones that go higher. There are some that are a bit lower based on location and that sort of stuff. But primarily when we're looking at fast food restaurants in the south end of the city, South St. Patel kind of area, the range here is $30.67 to $36.80. The revised model rent of $30.17, I believe, is very reasonable within that range, and that's what we're seeking. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Brad, any questions?
I just have a couple. You're aware that the 2018 Realty Assessment Appeal was heard by this board?
Yes, that is correct.
And do you know what rate the board decided?
I believe they use $30 a square foot.
Square foot, and the rate that you're suggesting here is a little bit higher than that?
Very, yeah.
And so not.
Very small amount higher, but yes.
Yeah, not following the board's order.
No, it is using the model still.
Okay. Those are my questions, thank you.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes, the edge of the property?
The age I show built 1999 with major renovation in 2016, interior and exterior alterations including cosmetics, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, full rental.
There's a drive-through through the property?
I believe so, yes.
The base rent for the subject is $42 a square foot?
That was what was appealed. Yeah.
And you're down to 30.17, eh?
That's right.
Okay, okay. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sandy?
Both the 4215 and 3017 are model driven?
Yeah, so when
I'm
I
just
was,
wondering what characteristics we should know about that made you bring it down so much.
it was mainly a change in regards to the location variables and some of the condition variables for the property.
The comparables are all in the same area?
Well, they're on St. Mary's, but yeah, they're in the South St. Patel kind of area of the city.
They're further south by quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
You didn't pull up any other than McDonald's, eh?
A lot of them are owner occupied, so you don't have leases on them.
The one on St. Mary's?
I don't believe I pulled that one up, no.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Brad, on to your
Just
presentation.
really short and sweet. I'm going to start you off at page 8 of our submission. This property was heard for the 2018 Realty Assessment Appeal, January 24th, 2018. In that hearing, and I noticed here that Mr. Merritt was chairing that panel, decided on a rate of, well, actually, they use the applicant's net operating income. If we look at page 10, you'll see there that was an excerpt from our realty assessment brief, and there you'll see $30 a square foot. That is exactly the rent that we're requesting here. If we look at page 5, we show a number of comparables there. These are exactly the same rental comparables that were used in the hearing of the realty assessment appeals. Singular, there's going to be 2 of these today. That the $30 rate that we are seeking today, based on a realty assessment appeal, does reflect physical condition, the remodeled and improved physical condition as of 2018. I don't understand why the assessor wouldn't have gone to $30 a square foot, but that's what we're seeking, and so our request is for a reduction to $70,800, and we show that on page 6 with the calculations including occupancy costs.
$360 reduction.
Okay, well, we can look at it the other way. Can we have 17 cents less than what the board decided on the realty?
There we go.
All we're doing is running, well, and typically that's the practice of the.
I was just checking
Yeah.
if my adding was right.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Mark or Brad?
No questions.
No questions? Sandy, do you have any
I have no
questions?
questions.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
And I have none.
It confuses me.
We didn't throw rocks at you once in a while, you'd really be feeling lonely, wouldn't you?
I would. Oops.
No, I got this all confused. How did I do that?
It's okay.
I think we got something wrong.
Yeah, it's all good. I just wonder if the next.
Okay, what's the next one? 1887?
Yeah.
1887, Main Street, sorry.
The business assessment ID for this property is 29669, 1887 Main Street. It's a McDonald's again. In this case, the annual rental value under appeal is $108,360. We arrive at that by looking at the premise area of 3152 and applying a base ARV or base rent per square foot of $32.03. Occupancy costs are applied in full for a total of $7,407. Once again, the annual rental value is $108,360. The subject lease information indicates that it is owner occupied. The rent comparables that I've shown here today are a mix of competing fast food restaurants with drive-throughs. The only case where there is no drive-through is 1490 Inkster. I've tried to select properties that are similar in size, and I believe that the rental rate at $32.03 is supported by comparables within that $30 to $35 range that we have been finding for the McDonald's. It seems to be pretty consistently that not only the city but also the agents have been settling between $30 and $35. At this point, I don't have a recommendation on this one. I'm seeking confirmation at $32.03, and that is my presentation.
At 108,360.
Yeah.
Brad, questions?
Just a couple again. The realty assessment appeal for 2018 was also filed and heard for this premise as well?
Yep.
It's a standalone restaurant, right?
Yep.
And you know what the board's decision on that was?
I believe $30 a square foot. I would have to double check, but I believe that's what it was.
Those are my questions, thank you.
Mr. Merritt, any questions?
Mr. Triglio, the age of the property?
In this case, I do not have it with me. I apologize.
I know there was substantial renovations in regards to the subject. Do you know when they were done, or?
I don't have it with me.
Okay. I thank you then. Thank you.
Sandy?
No, I have no questions.
You said there was renovations on this building?
Yes, but I don't know
No, I'm asking Brad, not you,
Oh,
Mr.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to ask you questions, it's okay.
I believe that all of those would have been taken into account in the physical
Did you back the number up together, or would they actually say it was $30 on the rent? 'Cause I don't see that number in here.
Are we going through my submission?
Yeah, through yours.
I haven't started
Yes,
yet.
Major.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's how efficient we are.
Boy, am I efficient. I'm ahead, one step ahead of you. I'm gonna start asking them questions now, because I think that's wrong. Okay, Brad, on with your presentation, please.
Thank you. As exactly with the previous property, this property was heard at the same hearing as the previous one. Again, Mr. Merritt was chairing it, and we show that board order on page 8. You see there, as with the previous property, the decision was based on the applicant's net operating income. You turn over to page 10, you'll see a copy there, 3152 square feet, at $30 a square foot was the rate that we were seeking, and that's the rate that the board applied in their decision. And so based on that, I'm going to go through the calculations on page 6, showing the occupancy costs on the entire area. So we're looking for a reduction to $101,940 based on the realty decision of this board, and we also again include the number 9, actually, rental comparables on page 5, and again, these are exactly the same rental comparables that were presented in the realty appeal hearing in January. Thank you.
Questions, Mark?
I do. Just some questions in regards to the comparables that were used. Firstly, I've noticed that you have not selected anything on the north side of the city. It looks like it's exclusively picked from the south end of the city. Is that correct?
Well, again, as I explained, the rental comparables that I'm over here.
Yeah.
The rental comparables that we have shown here are exactly the same rental comparables that were presented on January 24th to this board in the hearing of the 2018 Realty Assessment Appeal.
Yep.
So, and based on that, the board decided on $30 a square foot.
Right, okay. I just have some questions about the comps. Are you aware of which of these are drive-through fast food restaurants?
I know that I printed, I did in fact print out the whole list. I was looking for it, I didn't seem to be able to see it there. And so I guess based on that, the short answer is no, I don't.
Okay. I did have a look in our system at some of the comparables that were used. A lot of them are not standalone restaurants. A lot of them don't have drive-throughs. The bottom 3, 7, 8, 9 are actually pad leases for the land only. Were you aware of that when you selected the comparables?
As I said, these are exactly the same rental comparables that were submitted to this board in January of this year. The board decided that $30 a square foot was the right number for this property.
Perfect, yeah. No other questions?
Mr. Merritt?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Sandy?
I have no questions.
And they did use the $30 you said on that?
Yeah, and that's shown on page 8. You can see there that the board's order says based on the applicant's net operating income, and on page 10 it's an excerpt from our brief showing at the top there the 3152 square feet. That's consistent with the size of this restaurant at $30 a square foot.
Thank you very much. And we'll bring up the last one, which will be 823 Corden Avenue. Mark, when you're ready.
The business assessment ID is 29133. We're talking about 823 Corden Avenue, Unit B. The annual rental value under appeal is $98,400. We arrive at this by taking the premise area, 4,489 square feet, and applying a base annual rental value or base rent per square foot of $19.57. Occupancy costs have been applied in full to the full premise area for a total of $10,549. Again, the total on the annual rental value, $98,400. Subject lease reported is a net lease from April of 2015, April 1st, 10-year lease, 10 year 3 months. Reported area matches what the city has, and a reported rent of $13 a square foot. My rent comparables are from the Osborne, Corden, there's one on Weatherden, which is just off of Grant. These are restaurants that are similar in size, and the rental range shows $17 to $23.02 a square foot. We are seeking confirmation on the value using the $19.50 rent. That is the end of my presentation.
Questions?
No, we're seeking 54-1 here. I have a number of questions about the lease from the owner that have not been answered yet. So we're basically just punting it down the road for.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day, gentlemen. Thank you. Shut her down, please.